one, Russell Wright from Network Empire and ThemeZoom.com, and we have a little bit of an unusual format with you because I have Matt DeCruz here from Europe. He's been hanging out with Sue Bell and myself for the last almost 30 days, right, Sue?
Yep.
And this is a huge opportunity to really get everything that's in his head and everything that's in Sue's head about the new Domain Web Studio 3.6 application. And where we are right now is in the Network Empire members area. When you sign up, you should have received your username and password, right?
Yes.
Okay, and they're going to log in, and I just want to make sure that you see on the menu bars the actual login area for the application itself. This video series is focused on the application because Matt and Sue have been staying up, 24 hours straight sometimes, working for the last year and a half, actually over a year and a half, to try to build this application. Now, let's go ahead and just click on there, Matt, and let's just run in there and we'll talk to them about what's going on. So when you click on that header, on the icon menu button, it's going to take you to the Domain Web Studio application. You're going to use your username and password. It should seamlessly work for both the members area and Domain Web Studio, so you have access to that. And now what we're revealing at the time of this recording, this is 3.6. And it's going to be very fun to go through each one of these screens. And Matt, Sue, you guys just jump in and, anytime you have something you want to add. We're going to keep this format fun, kind of mystery science theater, sort of like that, so that all the details of not only what we're doing, how it can benefit your business and your bottom line, how you can financially benefit for it, but you're also going to have the opportunity to get inside the head of three experts: a neuromarketer, a enterprise software developer and designer, Sue Bell, and Matt DeCruz, who has too many qualifications for me to even assess, developer, software programmer, business KPI expert. He's done a lot of stuff, so this is kind of your show, Matt, since we have you here. So let's go talk about this. What's going on here on the first area? What should we be thinking?
Thank you, Russ. What we've got here is the home screen. This is going to become, as time evolves, this will become the dashboard that runs all your empires. In previous versions, what we've done is we used to call them clusters and projects, but being Network Empire, we want you to start thinking bigger than a cluster, and a cluster doesn't really mean much to you. So this is where we all sat around and we decided to call them empires with multiple sites, so it makes more sense to you. So when you open up an empire, depending on how big you want to go, you can build out multiple websites. So each row is a website. So on the screen, this is where you'll get quick access to all the key details of what's going on in your project. So for example, what we have here is the project ID of the site. We've got the name of our project, where it's going. So we've got the WRL1. This is a primary web ring. It's for lead generation and when it was created. Links to your website or the blog that you want to have it posted to, the amount of silos, categories, supporting articles, how many keywords are in that actual project, and then your navigation all the way through the entire system. So from the screen, you can actually access anywhere. You can actually see all your empires and you can see all your websites within each empire.
Okay, let's slow down a second because I am completely blown away by all this and I want to get into the details. You talk about empires, you talk about websites. Now let's define our terms a little bit for someone who may not have been exposed to this software at all. Okay, what do we mean when we're talking about an empire? Sue, Matt?
World domination.
World domination, that's right. Okay, in baby terms. If I'm in the 6th grade, of course, when you were in the 6th grade, you were probably still saying world domination.
I was. I learned about the Romans and I was like, wow, yes.
That was my empire.
Now, Sue actually watched Pinky and the Brain.
Right. So I want to break this down. Part of the fun of having the opportunity to do something like this is to really get into it. And when we're talking about empires, we talked about this when Matt first got here, it can be a couple of different things, right? You can set up your empire in terms of domains, it can be your business model. It's really left up to you to determine what that wants to represent, right?
Right.
So let's talk about a couple of things that could represent your empire versus a project versus a website.
Right.
That's the main question that I get.
Right.
Yeah.
So let's say we've had one of these this last month. We had a certification student who came in, an SEO from an online marketing firm. So they've got multiple clients, and one of their clients is into a bunch of different things. Like there's green energy on one hand, and there's B&Bs on another hand.
Mhm.
So I wouldn't combine those two things for that client into one empire. They've got an empire of green energy, and they've got an empire of hotels. So here I would list them out. I'd give their company name and then the specifics of what that empire is about.
So empire can be anything from sites to whole streams of promotion, because Domain Web Studio does all of these things, right?
Yeah, like for example with Brian, who was here for the certification for one of his clients that he was working on. That client was in the energy market and they had 3 different websites that catered to 3 different parts of the market. So
just the energy market, yeah.
in the energy market, he would have his energy empire, and then within the energy empire, he would basically go and create the 3 sites or websites that represent the client's space.
Okay.
One of his other clients, which was a much smaller client, which was just like a computer shop, he would just have a small empire. So it's almost like playing a game. You got different size of kingdoms, and that's the empire. That guy, to him, his empire is everything. So he's got one empire. Whereas a big conglomerate, which wants to own the whole of Canada, he'll have multiple empires or sites.
So it really does depend on what you're trying to accomplish. Is it possible that if you're an SEO firm or an online marketing firm or a full service firm, that you might want an empire to be an individual client?
Sure.
Or do you consider that more of a project?
It depends. Ideally, the way I would do it, I would group an empire for a client if it's specific to the market they're working in. If it's just one client with one website, for example, a hairdresser or salon or something like that, a local type of market, I'll just make a project empire for that person with one website inside it.
Okay, so let's take a look at a real example. You've actually got not a huge giant thing set up, but you've got an example of some stuff we've been testing. Can we give actual real examples? Explain what each one of these things are.
Yeah, so for example, what we got here is a surfing lifestyle fitness, and this project here typically is an affiliate type of project. And what we're going to do in here is we're going to promote surfing fitness. It's an exercise pack. You make $40 on the course. The course is really good. It gives you all the videos. It gives you the PDFs. I've been looking at the course for quite some time. I've received, like every week, I receive 2 emails from the guy saying, try these exercises out today. This is how the top surfers in the world train. So that's a great...
That's the product.
That's the product, and this is the website that's going to get
product
for the product. So I've just named it after the product, and I'm going to create one website inside.
Right, and our users, whether they're an SEO firm or a person, a one-man band, as one of our students likes to call himself in New Zealand, you could name it whatever you wanted. So you've chosen to name the surfing and lifestyle app similar to the product, and you know you're going to be promoting that product, and you kind of know generally what your keyword's going to be in, even though you haven't researched them yet.
Yes.
So that's kind of what you've done there. Does that make sense?
Mm-hmm.
Yes.
Okay. That's one way of doing it, but not the only way of doing it.
Right.
Okay.
Then the next one is debt, and this one's going to break down into multiple projects. This empire for debt is going to actually look at the whole debt.
That's
industry.
huge. Just like a vertical, like we in Kraken when we talked about online market analysis, right, Sue?
Yeah, so when I look at that one, I'm looking at the whole debt cycle of loans to secured loans, to bankruptcy, to IVAs, to trust deeds, to foreclosure.
Okay.
It's the whole cycle, and each website's going to be a part of the pie. So you'll have maybe 8 websites within this one, yeah.
You've already got 2 demo. We've been using that site as a demo site for Silo, but you've already got 2 stuck in there in the project. Yes. And let me ask you this, because I'm gonna put the light in every corner here if I possibly can during this presentation. This is unplugged, right?
Yep.
You've got product 217. Project 217?
Yes.
Does that product ID come in later? What do I need to be thinking to myself about the product ID? Is that just a Domain Web Studio internal name?
Yes, it's a unique, each project or website has a unique identifier tied to it.
Okay.
So whenever you see that number, it's just a reference point for you to know. Some people like names, some people like numbers.
Okay.
Will
Will that matter later in the promotional section and the content section, or is that going to be taken care of for me when I put them? It's
all taken care. It's all internal.
Okay, so I don't need to worry about that.
No.
Okay, awesome. Continue. And I noticed that on the far right, I see silos, categories, supporting articles. Is that so cool? That is so cool. That means that silos, categories, supporting articles, and keyword ideas that I have up to this point are actually contained within Domain Web Studio.
Yeah.
Yes.
So I'm literally building my empire, not to mention, oh my gosh, I see where you guys are going, because I also have the total projected costs. I have the, I can have a quick glance overview of my individual empire, my silos, the categories, the articles, and the keyword ideas all sitting there, right?
Yeah, so whenever you come back, you can actually see if you started or not. You can see how far you've got through the project. You can see how many keywords you actually got sitting at the point in time. It gives you all the reference points, and to access it, you simply click on any of these icons over here, and it'll take you to the specific process for each website.
Yeah, fascinating, fascinating.
The other thing I want to say is you'll see under websites there, he's got 2 different URL strings, 2 different, probably even domain names. The idea behind that is you can have the same exact silo framework for a blog and a website, and that way you get the theme mirroring between those 2 sites.
Okay.
So what Domain Web Studio allows you to do really easily is to set those 2 URLs up and to create your blog and your website simultaneously.
Interesting.
And then when you get to the point where you're writing content, you choose whether you're writing it for the blog or whether you're writing it for the website.
Got it.
And then you can export that information and create your blog and website.
Right. And for those of you who don't know what theme mirroring is, you can visit our wiki at themezoomglossary.com. But essentially, it's about keeping your theme coherent between 2 sites that link to each other, or your blog links to your site. And we definitely know that there's a relationship there to ranking and everything.
Yep.
Yeah.
Okay, fantastic, Matt. We can finish up this screen. We've been going about 11 minutes, so.
Okay, no worries. So just as a summary, the whole screen over here, the whole point of this is a starting point where we manage all our projects in one place.
And it's the starting point when I wake up in the morning and I've got 17,000 projects because I'm as good as David Allen as managing multiple multi-million-dollar empires. I literally could do a general overview here, see what's going on and where I'm at and something.
Yes.
Okay.
Absolutely. This screen too will also show you if you've got tasks behind. It pops them right out on
We don't have a demo here, but where would that go?
That would come over here at the bottom.
And we'll show some demos later on, but essentially it'd say, yo, these tasks
are behind
are late.
schedule.
Wow.
Yeah.
At anywhere in the whole empire? Even if I have 50 empires?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
So off this icon over here, where you're talking to your team, essentially what happens is you can assign tasks, communication tasks to your team, and you can tell them exactly what you want. And as soon as you send that task off, it comes back and it appears in the home screen. And when that task becomes behind schedule, it will actually start flashing a red flag saying this task has not been dealt with.
Okay.
So when you log into your project and your screen, the important things that you want to track, you can automatically see have been dealt with.
Okay, so in summary, this is a universal control and command and control center. When you first wake up in the morning or whatever, or you wake up in the evening, you start managing your team overseas or whatever, you're going to see what's not done. And if you wanted to, you can just go ahead and email individual empire tasks from here.
Yeah.
Yes.
Okay. I think that's a good summary. We're on about 14 minutes. I want to keep these at a good 15 minutes each or so.
Okay.
Probably want to move on to the next one.
Sure.
And we can add more things. If you've got a part 2 of this, we'll just make a part 2. All right, thanks, folks. We'll be right back on the next video.